going up. But these seas are going up. But these seas are going up. But these seas are going up.
Well, 11? Wow, this has been a stroll, family. What's going on, family? Are we in here? Mama Mia, the Queen Mother. Blink, Gunna. Okay, guys. What's going on? Walona Gold. Constantly going at this study, reflection, collectively. So let's just give thanks in this moment for our ancestors. Let's give thanks today for the ancestors that we do not know their names. We may not have heard of their fight, their process.
Ancestors rising up.
Point
Thought we were buried, but these seas are going up.
Docks, in the dungeons, in the darkness, in the fecal matter, under the feet, the oppressor that held on a little bit longer, that went through torturous treatment, somehow still was able to dance in the sun, was able to love again and produce and move forward, produce what we are today. So please, let's lift them up, the unnameable, the untamable, those who without their consistent desire to survive, we would not be here. We would not be here. So let's lift their names up collectively. Courageous, and let them know. This is that. Thank all of us. Join us, ancestors, most high, generations are coming at this family, here we go. Yes. Oh man. Anybody saw Uncle Tom's? No, not Uncle Tom's. What is it? Say goodbye, Uncle Tom. Goodbye, Uncle Tom. Yeah, man. It's a deep film. So let's get into it, family. We're gonna start. Let me get this spot here. Starting on page 1.
A pressure burning up. Your term is running up. Nature going up. Ancestors rising up. Thought we were buried, but these seas are going up.
Nine, family. Constant.
Hey, what's good, bro? How you doing?
What's up, King? All right, you know. Here, thriving. Ooh, I like that, bro. What's that, man, that you got on?
Oh, my mom made this for me like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago.
What's that royal right there? That's that Wakanda right there.
Man.
Yeah, I like that. Shout out Authentic African, man. Y'all want something like that, man? Tap in.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mia at Authentic African does like all kinds of different custom clothing. So whatever you want, from like shirts and skirts to like full on costumes, like she's got you.
Handmade by the black hand, y'all. Tell me.
Ashe. And yeah, as we get started, like you're welcome to hit that paper plane button at the bottom and invite some of your friends in. We're in the last 2 weeks of the Black Courage book club, and so we're in part 3, 21st century practices, 21st century solutions, and man, like it's been a ride, hasn't it? Like we've learned and like just like had conversations about so many different co-ops and man, like I'm in awe, like to be honest, like every
So
time.
so powerful. Yeah, every time it's like it's new. I see new possibilities every time we go through this. I think that's the second time we went through the book club, and it's like every time it's like it's a different focus, and it's also been a different climate. Last year around this time, it was totally different than what we're going through right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's been very, very inspiring, brother, for sure.
Yeah. Like thankfully the East Oakland Grocery Co-op, Repair Nations is on the steering committee. We got to speak with Dr. Gordon Emhart this weekend, and Krishna, who's been with us since almost the beginning and is in the EOGC, asked like what is the incentive for like modern Black people to get into cooperatives, and why would like he understood why like way back in the day we did it, and he wanted to know what is the reasoning we can tell like other folks like this is the thing we got to do. And Dr. Nimhart said that like well like first we established like this is a pre-colonial practice, cooperative.
Mm.
Like this is a thing that like folks were doing like across the globe. And just be like, and it took Dr. Nimhart a long time to research and write all this stuff down. And she was even thinking about doing it for the Latinx community because she knows that they too have storied history similar to this. But she was saying that in essence, like cooperatives are an anti-imperialism, like anti-oppression choice, because it's not about giving folks the money who already got money so that they can make more money, extract it from our communities and keep it in their bank accounts, and just keep hoarding. It's about like sharing that wealth, and building community wealth, not just individual wealth. And so, yeah, we're gonna read
That's a
about
great answer. That's a
part
great answer.
in chapter 10. She really gets into like solidarity cooperatives and some of the modern things that we can be doing. So like once we get through the Federation of Southern Cooperatives, which is all this week, we'll be getting into those modern practices and solutions in chapter 10.
So,
Um, Bro, which of these quotes did you want to read? We usually go back and forth.
I busted out with Woods, the
Okay.
first one. Woods. 1998, one of my favorite years. The origins of a new form of regional development in the Delta are to be found within the region itself, among the scattered, misplaced, and often forgotten movements, projects, and agendas of its African American communities and of other marginalized groups. Generation after generation, ethnic and class alliances arose in the region with the aim of expanding social and economic democracy, only to be ignored, dismissed, and defeated. These defeats were followed by arrogant attempts to purge such historic movements from both historical texts and popular memory. Yet, even in defeat, these movements transformed the policies of the plantation bloc and informed daily life, community building activities, and subsequent movements. Within the unreconstructional oral and written records of these arrested movements, besides the knowledge upon which to construct new relationships and new regional structures of equality. That's a long-winded way to say, man, that they've been trying to keep this stuff hidden from us and taken, but you cannot hide what's in plain sight. And like Bruh said, we've been doing this since the beginning, left to our own means. And that's what it's about. The remnants is left in the way grandma raised the house and the way that the men met, had men's clubs and did things for the community. We see it. We know it in our hearts to be true. We do it in our own little ways, but through these studies of books like these and individuals like Jessica Gordon Nimhart, we realize, we're able to realize and analyze and identify that, yes, that's us. So that's Woods, 1998, man.
Yeah. Helena Wilson in 1942 is saying, the pooling of resources in one form or another has helped solve the problems of other groups almost since the beginning of time, and it is only logical to conclude that the same principle can be made to help solve the problems of our own racial group. Du Bois in 33 was saying, I propose as the next step, which the American Negro can give to the world, a new and unique gift. We have tried song and laughter, and with rare good humor, a bit condescending, the world has received it. We have given the world work, hard, back-breaking labor, and the world has let Black John Henry die, breaking his heart to beat the machine. It is now our business to give the world an example of intelligent cooperation so that when the new industrial commonwealth comes, we can get into it as an experienced people and not again be left on the outside as mere beggars. If leading the way as intelligent cooperative consumers, we rid ourselves of the idea of a price system and become pioneer servants of the common good, we can enter the new city as men and not mules. Man, bro, if only we were like reading this stuff when I was like in middle school, bro.
Right,
Instead of reading about George Washington and that shit like every year, like they literally just taught us the same shit
over and over and left this out.
Yeah,
like for real, a lot of this, even our own historians, bro, like, we focus so much on civil rights and the protests and the struggle and don't really highlight the successes, man. And I'm glad that we're changing that moving forward. You gotta highlight the successes, man. Talk about them.
That's right. Yeah, so I appreciate all y'all for joining us here on this journey through. Yeah, we're just getting the introduction to the last two chapters. And it's saying at the top of page 190, feel free to put in questions, comments. Appreciate all the love we're receiving. It's saying at the top that in the transitions from enslavement to wage labor, from industrialization to post-industrial information age, African American and other subaltern populations held little control over the economic process of change, or the assets required for success. As a result, many subaltern communities are underdeveloped, marginalized, and underserved. It's been noted that benefits have gone disproportionately to those who strategically manage and control capital, even in what is called a new economy. Economic inequality and discrimination at all levels of society are well documented. And at the same time, subaltern populations have been instrumental in contributing to the success of each era, performing much of the hard labor, providing productive services, and inventing new technologies. 21st century solutions to reduce poverty and increase subaltern groups of control of capital require creativity, flexibility, and diversity. Solutions cannot afford to be exclusive or exploitative. Throughout history, members of subaltern populations have wanted to control resources, income, and assets, rather than continue to be beggars and recipients of inappropriate and outmoded models of industrial and economic development imposed by others. Subaltern populations can, and sometimes do, use alternative economic models to fashion their own economy. And part 3 of this book explores the ways the African Americans use their own community based on democratic enterprises to create opportunities and stabilize. And so in the 1960s, the African American co-op movement was revived. Shortly after, we got our civil rights, we got back to the economic aspects of it. And it became, co-ops sometimes quietly became intricately connected to the efforts of the civil rights organizations and the Black Power movement in the urban North, West, and South, and the Black struggles for economic independence in rural areas. The later 20th century urban projects used cooperatives as part of a larger strategy of Black empowerment. And while they were often deliberate about creating co-ops, it was a minor aspect of this larger strategy. And so in chapter 9, we're going to be focusing on the Federation of Southern Cooperatives and the Land Assistance Fund, which does a lot of work to sustain Black farmers. And we're going to be reading a little bit about that towards the end of this 30-minute segment. And then the final chapter, chapter 10, makes connections between the different cooperatives and the development through African American history, identifying common elements and themes, and then attempting to evaluate their impact, particularly on the youth. And so this chapter pulls together many ways in which co-ops have used solidarity and group cohesion to benefit African American communities. The co-ops discussed in this book have many things in common. Their members came from marginalized communities and were not being served well or at all by the prevailing market forces or government, and they needed to generate income and build assets. And they needed more control over their own economic lives and community economic activities. And so they came together, studied their circumstances, studied the alternatives, and then pooled their talents and their capital. They launched businesses that would address their needs and keep them in control. Many followed a charismatic leader. Many were started through a school or a church. And others were often initiated by an agency or organization that recognized the need to pull people together. And so we're going to be seeing stable enterprises that anchored communities with no desire or incentive to leave. Co-ops usually provided permanent jobs with livable wages and benefits for their worker owners, often setting a higher standard for the industry in the region. Many provided comprehensive services, or at least went beyond what the industry usually provided. And because they were member-owned, they provided asset-building opportunities and increased both individual and community wealth. The benefits of these businesses spilled out into the broader community, often providing training and education for members and consumers in the community, buying from local businesses, fostering business spinoffs, increasing civic participation, and advocating for industry or community change. And so, yeah, let's jump over to page, what is this? 193, the last page, one of the last pages that we'll be reading for today, about the Federation of Southern Cooperatives, the legacy still living on. The Federation was started in 1967. They're still going on today. Government tried to sabotage them and how they overcame that. And how also they overcame uh, pressures from foundations and money. And so there's a lot to learn in this chapter. So I'm glad y'all are here, tapping in, because this is really I don't know, Tap man. I'm just like I want to get involved more, but they're mostly in the South, so I'm still trying to figure that out.
Man, land. They've been doing it too, bro. For what? Over
Bro, over
man,
50 years, like almost
yeah,
five something.
man, that's what's up. And they still around today.
Yep.
And they had to figure out something how to navigate that long. So it's gonna be good to analyze and look at them closely. I wonder if we could reach out to somebody in that order, man.
Let's try for sure. So which of these quotes do you want to read?
I'll take Reynolds.
Okay. So we're seeing page set in 2012. Since 1967, we at the Federation of Southern Cooperatives Land Assistance Fund have remained true to our founding purpose of helping people to help themselves through cooperatives. We have developed family farmers, especially those of color, and helped them to remain and develop their land holdings as a key to rural community development. We have accepted the challenge of working with the poorest, most neglected, and isolated people in the rural Southeast to help them make a difference in their lives and their livelihoods.
That's what's up. That's similar to Repair Nations, man. You know, what's going on in Oakland, California.
Yep.
The Black Prince strikes again, fam. I'm telling you. You start to do the work, you look around, and you're like, man, somebody's doing the same work similar. Are we continuing the legacy? That's about being in alignment, family. So we see Reynolds says, 10 years earlier, a whole decade before that, since the civil rights movement, cooperatives have played an important part in helping Black farmers to sustain or develop as independent operators. As a public issue, the objectives have been civil rights and fighting poverty, and not independent farming, but the Black farmers and community leaders building and sustaining operating independence is a commitment is a commitment
Yeah,
objective.
concomitant.
Concomitant. That's a new. I'm gonna have to look that up. That's dope. That's overcommitment. Seriously commitment. Objective. And cooperatives have a major role in achieving that end. So even while we're fighting on the forefronts against police brutality and equal education, you know what I'm saying, and being able to make a livable wage, on the back end, like we talked about last week, you got to feed yourself. You got to go home. You got to have a place for your children, for your family. So we have to be hand in hand when we speak and we fight and we build on these issues. We can't just be out there talking about, you know what I'm saying, stop killing us without building and making sure that man, that's deep, bro. I really keep thinking about Uncle Tom's, Say Goodbye, Uncle Tom, Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Is that an
That
old
movie I
movie?
watched today. Yeah, it's a movie, bro. It's about Uncle Tom's Cabin, but it says Say Goodbye, Uncle Tom. And it just talked about, like, you know how most movies like Roots and stuff, it goes into like the livelihood of what it was back in the day and being a slave. It goes into the psyche and the procedures and what people were, the steps that it went, just let's just say how to clean, how they cleaned our ancestors coming off the boats and how they were treated, how they looked at the man, like the mating process. It was deep. And it would make you mad, but I'm up there looking at like what was going on, like to survive that, you know. So we can look at something like that, our past, and get real mad, and like, man, fuck, use our anger, and like, we're gonna go do something. But it's like, wow, we made it through all that. Our ancestors like so strong, made it through all that to where we are today. You know what I'm saying? It's interesting, like, in the forefront when you got the aggression and the pain, and yes, it's serious. We got to address it. We got to talk about it. But the community, at the end of the day, still got to love each other. We still got to, produce life. We still got a mom to support and food. And just the culture of survival is very interesting to me. So when we look at cooperative economics, it's all about the culture of survival and thriving. Like, it's a culture. It's not. So yeah, man, just that. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about right now with this quote.
Yeah. I appreciate you, Mary Taylor. She's saying concomitant means naturally accompanying or associated. So that quote was saying, but to Black farmers and community leaders, building and sustaining operating independence is naturally associated is a naturally associated objective, and cooperatives have been a major role in achieving that.
I say thank you, Mary.
Yeah. All right. So we're on page, what is this, 193 of Collective Courage, talking about Chapter 9, the Federation of Southern Cooperatives. The legacy is living on. The FSC was founded in 1967 to promote co-op economic development as a strategy and philosophy, to support and sustain Black farm ownership and control over land, to support the economic viability of family and independent family businesses, especially small, sustainable, and organic farms, and to advance the stewardship of Black-owned land and other natural resources in the rural low-income communities in the southern United States. They merged with the Emergency Land Fund in 1985 and began stewarding land as a major and important goal of their community development. They've recently been looking into local food systems and food economics to sustain the community, right on what you were saying. And so today it's a network of rural cooperatives, credit unions, and state associations of cooperatives and community development centers in the southern United States. And so provide technical assistance, legal assistance, financial support, education, and advocacy for their members and other low-income populations in the South. I flipped over to the next page, 194. And in addition, the organization supports state and federal policy changes and legislations that are favorable to small farmers and low-income rural populations, as well as being that supportive co-op development. And so they are the heart and soul of the current African-American cooperative movement. This is where you can find all the co-ops. And in the flyer for today, I also included their organizational structure. So you can see on there like what a federation of co-ops looks like. And it's a federation at the top with state associations filled with other cooperatives that have members. And so different levels of accountability, but ultimately a member-serving organization. And so, Ted, I was thinking we can go back and forth with the states to list off, some of the co-ops that were founded in the first 25 years of the existence. More than 200 co-ops, credit unions, most of them in the 7 states where they have offices. And so the member organizations in Alabama, the Freedom Quilting Bee, we learned about them, the Panola Land Buyers Association, the PLB Housing Development Corporation, Sokogo Goat Producer Cooperative, the Federation of Greene County Employees Federal Credit Union, and the Women in Land Ownership. Bro, that one's probably dope.
Women in Land Ownership. Got to. That's Mother Earth. Makes sense to me. And in Mississippi, the North Bolivia County Farm Cooperative, Beat Ford Farms Cooperative, AAL, the Indian Springs Farmers Association, Inc., the Shreveport Federal Credit Union, the New Community Cooperative, and the Milestone Cooperative Association, previously the Middle Mississippi Farmers Cooperative.
Yeah, we learned about the North Boulevard County Farm Co-op. They were around during the time of Fannie Lou Hamer and helped them out a lot.
That's the rub. Queen Mother.
In South Carolina, we're seeing the Carver Homes Worker Cooperative, the South Carolina Sea Islands Farmer Co-op, the Orangeburg Young Farmers Cooperative, the People's Cooperative. Okay.
Then we got in Georgia, the Southern Alternatives Cooperative, and the Southwest Georgia Farmers Cooperative. Big G.
And then we're seeing that, in Louisiana, bro, I love New Orleans, man. Like, I
what?
So much.
That's, a lot of us, our elders, grandparents came from Louisiana.
Yeah. The Southern Consumers Cooperative, the Grand Marie Sweet Potato Cooperative, the Southern Plaquemines United Fisheries Co-op, the Point Coupe Farmers Co-op.
God, man, Even in Florida, man, we got the new North Florida cooperative. Oh yeah, that was it. That's topic. I was like, Florida, man, that's the South. Dang, bro, the South, man.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, all, damn, family.
Yeah, so we're seeing that the Federation also has a rural training and research center where they do sustainable forestry, provide co op education, help Black youth run co ops. That's important.
What's up? That's what's up.
They're also helping out in Africa and the Caribbean. Wow. Okay, so they're getting global.
It's good.
Um, Dr. Nemhard is saying the organization has a wide reach throughout the South and is connected to the larger U.S. cooperative movement and has successfully advocated for important measures in the U.S. Farm Bill to support Black farmers, Black land ownership, and co-op development. And so the rest of the chapter will be analyzing the history and accomplishments, the early story of the FSC, the the Federation of Southern Co-op, is also the history of the Southwest Alabama Farmers Cooperative Association and the Southern Cooperative Development Fund. And so starting tomorrow, we'll be reading about what was going on in Alabama and how it sparked all this off.
What's up, man? Why you think Grandma, Big Ma know how to cook so good? And we got food is a major part of multiple cultures. So the fact that we had that large movement, like who wants to be a farmer nowadays, bro? I'm really thinking like, why am I so comfortable just going to the store, and getting my food? And now we in this pandemic, people almost killing each other over toilet paper. Let them talk about that. It's no more, you know what I'm saying? Milk. Like, what happened? So important to be able to provide for yourselves on multiple levels, and our ancestors knew that, bro. So shout out to the FSC, man, and the Black farmers that tilled the land and fed us, bro. That's what's up, man. I wish I had that in my heart. I'm gonna have to figure out how to make it happen. You got a little garden, don't you, bro?
Bro, my mom is like, she's got the green thumb, and we're trying to get some land outside of the city, so that we can have like a larger place to grow. So yeah, we're on that sustainability thing, and all the families on board to like buy the new land cooperatively and steward it. We've already talked about like who's gonna be there when and how we're gonna make it everything work. So, bruh, like, man, yeah, like. The fam is like really trying to make decisions together, and we just had a meeting last night to like hash out what we're gonna be doing, or at least like give each other an understanding of what our 5-year goals are. I mean, we got to do that if we want to support each other like in a real way.
That's what's up. And that's what the family did, right? You know what I'm saying? Y'all sit down after dinner or something, just like, hey, what's going on? That's big ups, man. Big ups to the fam. Big ups to the king and to the queen. You know what I'm saying? That's what's up.
And that discussion or that meeting, whatever, happened over dinner. So to like hammer home your point, like food is very important, and I'm too much of a conspiracy theorist to want general stock corporations to own the food chain because they make decisions based on profit, not based on the people they're serving. So, yeah, like let's stop supporting these corporations that bro, I've been reading articles about how like the corporations in the Midwest or even here in California were demanding that workers come in and work to get our food out, but they weren't telling them like how fast the COVID was spreading in the facilities, and it's just like they don't care. Like as long as they get the groceries in and the groceries out, and they have that money at the end of the day, like that's all they want. But like if that particular food plant was ran by the workers, people would probably say, hey, let's have a virtual meeting so we don't spread this no more and discuss like how we can like both handle what we got to handle, get everyone's needs met, but also not put each other in jeopardy. And that's the power of like collective decision making. Like one person who may or may not have started good, but is definitely power hungry and exploitative now, can just like throw everything off in the system we're in, and they're not accountable to, the people who are on the ground. And we like this is the way to move forward in the cooperative.
Isolated, man. That's why you can't just have one person making decisions for the collective. Like we all have to have input. You don't know what's going on with this man's family. You don't know who, if he might live with a household full of elders, so he can't take no risks. So with one person that's living an isolated life, making decisions for the collective, we see how far that's gotten us back in the hole as a society and a community. So collectively, cooperatively, that is the answer. That is the way. We've been hammering this in, family, that cooperatives, the processes, the things we went through, the collective input, the collective responsibility, and the collective success. Those are the traits of a great cooperative. And yes, we've seen that sometimes we've met our ends meet. A lot of successful cooperatives ended up being destroyed from outer influences, but not completely destroyed. Remnants was left, and people picked up the torch. The relay was ran. We passed it on. So we're just continuing to collect this information and manifest now. Like you just heard Bruh share, what's going on at his dinner table at his house. On the weekend, I'm working with a bunch of folks. We're trying to get things going in a co-op space. The Bruh just got another call with East Oakland Grocery a co-op. Shout them out. That's working with Mandela. That's talking about feeding us, giving us a grocery store. So things are happening. We're continuing this work. And that is it, family. That is it. That is how we will come out of this better. Like I think we posted on the page that said, a lot of people like, man, I can't wait till things go back to normal. And then you got another brother on the side like, why would you want to go back to that when we can build something so much beautiful? And we see the beautiful parts of this. We can make it happen, family. It makes sense culturally and intelligently. And there is surplus, believe it or not, when you do it cooperatively. That's what's up.
You want to sign us out, big bro?
Yeah, man. So much love from the king, from me, to all the kings and queens that are here. We appreciate y'all live on YouTube and IG.